Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, July 11th, 2016.
Commissioner Davis, James, repenting and assent to our President. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Barry Berggren, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Udi Jimenez, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. There's also no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comments. We did receive speaker cards on item number 4.
Okay, we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council comment category. Let's take care of some of these communications and administrative items. Agenda item number 17, OHL USA Incorporated doing business as Group OHL USA Incorporated and the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company have transmitted a bond to release money withheld on the stop notice filed by Sunbelt Rentals in connection with the Machado Lake Ecosystem Rehabilitation Project. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 17 forthwith? By Commissioners Repenning and Assento. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 18, OHL USA Incorporated doing business as Group OHL USA Incorporated and the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company transmitting bond to release money withheld on stop notice filed by Dion and Sons Incorporated in connection with the Machado Lake Ecosystem Rehabilitation Project. Is there a second to my motion that we receive number 18 forthwith? By Commissioners Repenning and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 16. The Mayor has approved and authorized the Board to award and execute a sole source contract with E2020 Technology Incorporated to provide a Bureau-wide program management and document control system for the Bureau of Engineering. This is being sent back for signature. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 16 forthwith? By Commissioner Assento. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 14. Specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids for street lighting pole painting project, Unit 6. Estimates $304,350. The bid receipt date is Wednesday, August 24th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 14 forthwith? By Commissioners Davis and Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 15. Council Districts 1 and 13 specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids for the secondary sewer renewal program N14 Temple Street and Glendale Boulevard project. The estimate $3,239,300. The bid receipt date Wednesday, August 17th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 15 forthwith? By Commissioner Assento. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Let's go back to, let's take agenda item number 4 that we have speaker cards on. Is there a representative from the applicant that's present? Representative from the applicant that's present? Okay, we're going to give them a few more minutes. Agenda item number 1, Bureau of Engineering in Council District 13, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to utilize the construction services contract and issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $582,000 in connection with the Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant Administration Building Heating, Ventilation, and Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning Improvements Project. Mr. Zahedi on agenda item number 1.
Good morning, Sean Zahedi, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. The administration building at the Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant is 20 years old, and the ductwork leaks anytime there is a rain event. So there's a number of ceiling tiles that have been damaged, and the water damage is also evident on the walls of the administration building. Additionally, the humidifier in the telephone room doesn't function properly. So this project is going to replace the ductwork throughout the administration building, inside and outside of the building, repair and replace the ceiling tiles and acoustic tiles, and fix the penetration areas on the walls, ceilings, and the roof of the administration building. Additionally, it is going to install a standalone air conditioning unit to serve the telephone room. The not to exceed amount is $582,000. The city engineer is recommending the use of the Cisco contract for this work because we want to make sure that the work is completed before the start of the next rainy season. PRC has approved $608,000 for this project. So staff recommendation is that the board authorize the use of the Cisco contract for $582,000. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Mr. Zahedi? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Sean, thanks for the report. So a couple of questions. If we're using the Cisco contract, that means that we're going to go to the top of the a rotating list. We're going to go to the top, or we're going to put it out to bid to those on that list?
No, sir. The Cisco contract is already has a selected contractor. It goes through the bid process, and a contractor is awarded the contract. So all the work is performed, not the entire work, but the prime on all the jobs would be the Cisco contract.
I see where that one. I understand. Thank you, Shannon. Thanks for that reminder. And then the administration building will be using this building for the foreseeable future, so the investment of the HVAC and all the repairs are appropriate and justified.
Correct.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on agenda item number 1? Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Sean, while you're here, let's go ahead and take number 13. I think we're just extending a bid date.
Yes.
Council District 11, Bureau of Engineering recommending that the board extend the bid receipt date from July 13, 2016 to July 27, 2016 in connection with the Headworks Improvements Project, CIP 2409, and the Headworks Odor Control Upgrade Project. Go ahead, Mr. Setti.
Yes, these two projects are at the Hyperion plant at the Headworks facility. One is the Headworks Improvement. The other one is the Headworks Odor Control Improvement. And we advertised these two projects as one contract on June 3rd of this year with a total city engineer estimate for the entire contract of $24,075,000. Projects are scheduled to receive bids on July 13th, which is the day after tomorrow. Since we advertised the projects, we have received a number of questions from the prospective bidders requiring us to do some investigation and respond to the questions through addenda. And for that reason, we believe that it's prudent to extend the bid date by 2 weeks to allow the prospective bidders to digest the new information and submit their competitive bids. Extending the bid by 2 weeks will not alter the overall schedule of these projects. City engineer therefore moves that the board grant the request to extend the bid date from July 13th to July 27th. And he further moves that the city engineer advise all bidders of the board's action by addendum. Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Zahedi on number 13? I don't have any questions. Is there a motion on 13 by Commissioner Jacinto? I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 13. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 13 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's go to agenda item number 6. Advisement number 1, Council District 14. The board considering the relocation assistance appeal from Bellcraft Office Furniture Incorporated related to the 6th Street Viaduct Seismic Improvement Project. This is continued from June 29, 2016. This was continued in order to give the parties time to reach a settlement agreement and have it executed. Mr. Jimenez, has that happened?
Yes, and this morning we received a response from the appellant saying that he would withdraw his appeal
Okay.
as a result of the discussions that we've had, and everything's moving forward with the final claim.
Okay, so the appeal is withdrawn?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Campos, we don't need a motion or anything for that, do we, or do we?
No, the Bureau can automatically request the withdrawal of the report, and we will note that as a disposition.
Okay, great, then that will be the disposition of agenda item number 6. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2. Council District 14, recommending that the board find the Department of General Services Construction Forces Division to be qualified to perform the construction activities necessary and assign work to them in the amount of $2,250,000 plus a construction contingency of $250,000 for a total of $2,500,000, and 2, delegate signature authority to the city engineer to execute the proposed memorandum of understanding between the Bureau of Engineering and GSD for an amount not to exceed $2,500,000 in connection with the Engine Company 23 Arts Center Phase 1 construction project. Rebecca Abano? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, President James, Bureau Heads. Rebecca Abano with the Bureau of Engineering. What I have before you is to request authority to execute a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, with General Services Department and our Bureau. As I've reported here in the past, Engine Company number 23, Arts Center, is a Proposition K funded project which consists of converting an existing decommissioned fire station here in downtown Los Angeles into a junior arts center. The building is historic. It's number 37 on the city's historic buildings list, as well as it's also in the National Register. General Services has done other restorations for the city of Los Angeles in the past and has done an excellent job. There are so many unknowns in this building, and it's very difficult to define the costs, so it was more prudent to select General Services to complete Phase 1 of the work. Phase 1 consists of seismic retrofit, replacing the roof, bringing the building up to code, adding a new fire life safety system, providing power, providing water, adding a security system, as well as some of the historic restorations. Not only do we want you to find General Services as the contractor of preference to do the Phase 1 construction, we also would like to delegate signature authority to the city engineer for the $2.5 million. I'd also like to add that on May 26th of this year, the Proposition K Steering Committee, which is the oversight committee that consists of the CAO, CLA, and the mayor, has approved doing this work. Subsequent to that, on June 24th, the 4th construction projects report was approved by the City Council, which has actually transferred this money to General Services. So are there any questions?
No, I will get to Commissioner Cento. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Engine Company 23 is also the one that was using Ghostbusters.
Yes, it is.
Yes, so there's Hollywood, there's a Hollywood importance as well, and there was just an article on it.
With the LA Weekly.
LA Weekly, yeah, that did, because I guess the next Ghostbusters coming out July 22nd. Commissioner Cento.
Thank you. It's a great tie-in in terms of repurposing an underused building, a historic building for a youth art center. That's just a win-win. Rebecca, to you and Prop K and engineering staff, and working together with GSD, it's exactly what we need to do for our city, is to put more of our assets in the play for the future. So if you feel that GSD is the way to go to do the work, then I support that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cento. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issues sending 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. And while we're talking about city lore, today is on this day in 1922 was the first concert at the Hollywood Bowl. 7/11/22.
1922.
Yeah. Wow. So, how about that? Agenda item number 3, Council District 11.
I love the Hollywood Bowl.
Recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to enter into a proposed access and maintenance agreement concerning removing and replacing a retaining wall with the property owners of the real property located at 17860 Lecco Lane, Los Angeles, California, 90272, also known as Assessor Parcel 4416-015-028. That's property number 1. And at 17854 Lecco Lane, Los Angeles, 90272, also known as Assessor Parcel 4416-015-029, that's property number 2, as required for the completion of the Lecco Lane bulkhead replacement project right-of-way, subject to the city attorney's approval as to form. On number 3, Gus.
I'm stepping in for Gus.
Okay.
This project is going to restore a bulkhead, and just to give you a point of reference, Lecco Lane is one of the streets that overlooks the beaches over by Santa Monica, by PCH, and it's a hilly area in Pacific Palisades, and part of the roadway is suffering from some erosion, and what the city proposes to do is to put in a new bulkhead and a new retaining wall and restore the street. And we got some agreements from the private property owners to do the work on their property, but the bulkhead will be on public right-of-way.
And no compensation paid to the property owners,
Correct.
Okay. That was Mr. Jimenez for the record. Anything on number 3? I'll make a motion that we adopt number 3, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. All right, I think we've given enough time for the applicant to send a representative today. On number 4, Council District 11, tree removal, 1227 East Preston Way. Recommending that the board, 1, find that the tree removal classifies as operation, repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing street, sidewalk, and gutter involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that previously existing, and does not involve the removal of a scenic resource. 2, find that the action is exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, Category 3, existing facilities, sidewalk repair or maintenance of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act guidelines from 2002. And 3, find that none of the exceptions to the use of a categorical exemption as set forth in Section 15300.2 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines apply. And 4, approve the request for a fee permit to remove 2 Mexican fan palm trees and 2 rubber trees for driveway installation and the reconstruction of an off-grade public sidewalk, curb, and gutter located at 1227 East Preston Way. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson, we'll start with you. You can summarize this for us, and then we'll go to our speaker cards and have any questions then that we have. Go ahead.
President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. The Bureau, the division was contacted by the developer about the 7 trees that are out in front of this property, 2 of which are on the adjoining properties right next to the property line. But I believe that the property owner some time ago, maybe 75, 80 years ago, planted the palm trees, and the ficus rubber trees, elastic, were planted sometime after that. The rubber trees we do not plant in the parkways and the under today's current standards. And the Washingtonia robusta trees require a 4-foot wide parkway to plant today under their standards. The parkway here is 3 feet wide. Literally, the base of the palm trees cover the entire distance between the curb and the sidewalk, and actually have put roots down over the top of the sidewalk, which indicate they actually needed that rooting ability to uphold the height of the trees, as that's what palm trees do, is they keep putting roots down at the base, because their roots don't travel out this way. There are lots of little itty-bitty roots. That's how they can bend in a hurricane and come back up. But the soil disruption that would take place around these trees in order to remove the 4-foot sidewalk that is currently there and have to shave against the palm trees in order to get a 4-foot sidewalk back in order to put the forms in and all that, would be detrimental to the base of the trees, including curb and gutter, which I have went to the site on Sunday, and inspected it myself. And I took some photos. The curbs actually have cracks in them. They're not quite displaced yet, but that's what's coming. As the base of the trees will continue to expand underneath the earth. And so we're right at the point of where either they get fixed or they will be broken up even worse in the next 5 years. With that said, could there be a tree saved? One palm tree could be saved if you were to make the sidewalk 36 inches wide, which is not our standard today. So therefore, I have to look at everything with the current standards that we utilize today, which is a 4-foot sidewalk. So out of the 5 trees, the one that's at the western end of the property, that's 6 feet away from a street light, and there's another palm tree on the adjoining property that's 6 feet away from the street light. They do not impede the street light because they're towering way above it. That one palm tree could remain with minor work that would take place on the sidewalk side only. As the curb and gutter side, it's at least 4 or 5 inches away from the curb, which allows the curb to be removed, forms reset, and not a lot of root pruning on that side of the tree to take place. However, the other palm tree, as stated, you would have to make the sidewalk much smaller in order to save that one other palm tree. The 2 rubber trees need to be removed as they're causing the most damage to the sidewalks, and the one largest rubber tree at the easterly end of the property is in the direct path of the driveway. Now, the property owner wants to put in an 18-foot driveway, which means that's at the very outset, so you're looking at 16 feet coming out to the edges here, and that's going to wrap right around that palm tree that's right at the very edge of the driveway. No matter how wide you make the driveway, that palm tree will be a line-of-sight issue on exiting the property forevermore until it's not there, if allowed to stay. Also, I don't recommend it staying even if you were to reduce the driveway to 16 feet, as you are going to be cutting into the base of the palm tree on both sides, sidewalk, curb and gutter, and driveway, leaving only one side untouched. And unfortunately, that's the side where the rubber tree is, and that has to be aggressively ground out as the roots of the rubber tree are actually compressing down on the top of the curb. And I believe it's off a little bit. That's why the gutter is actually starting to lift up. It's not much, it's 1/4 of an inch, but within a 5-year period of time, the expansion of where they are right now and the pressure exerted on everything will continue to break everything up. So it's a recommendation of the board that this be approved, if possible, for the repairs.
So, Mr. Tyson, one question regarding the saving of the one palm tree. If that one palm tree is saved, are we still able to repair the sidewalk to the standards that we need to meet?
Yes, that's the only one that could be done that way. The street light is on one side. The other side is the smaller of the rubber trees, which the roots don't go over there, so not too much disturbance needs to take place in the parkway. But on the sidewalk side, they will have to shave it back, and they won't have to shave it on any other sides, just the one, and that would be allowable.
By shaving it back, are they in any way breaching the integrity of the tree regarding a safety issue?
I don't believe so, not on that tree.
Okay. Any more questions from Mr. Tyson at this time before we go to the speakers? Commissioner Repenning?
I just wanted your thoughts on palm trees as an element of the urban forest.
They provide a lot of aesthetic pleasing to the eye. They do not provide a lot of heat island effect for us, where they cool the conditions underneath the trees very well, because these are 70 feet tall. And small trees don't do a lot for that either, small canopied trees. But that's the only thing that really should be planted in these 3-foot parkways, or small trees like evergreen pears, plums. I have some other trees that are on the list. But other than aesthetically pleasing, which that's what everybody's looking at, is there's 5 palm trees there, of which they're 6 feet apart pretty much, which we don't plant palm trees 6 feet apart. All this stuff was done a long time ago before the standards that we have today are in effect. So they
And
don't.
are there other palm trees in the neighborhood? Is it?
I actually put some photos in for you there. If you look there, I took photo shots of the entire block. There are 4 little plum trees next door, and there are 3 queen palms down the street. That's literally all the trees on the block. I went to the next block over. There's literally only 1 or 2 trees planted in the next block over, as this is a place where we should have city plants maybe go in and canvass the area and see if we could plant some trees there. Of course, smaller trees that would be, per the selection guide, to not cause infrastructure damage to the curbs, gutters, and sidewalks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tyson. Laura Greenfield?
Mr. President, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Also, for the record, we did receive an email comment that was entered into the record and also distributed to the commissioners.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Lauren Greenfield. I live at 1221 Preston Way, next to the property in question where the 5 palm trees are. And we have several people from our neighborhood here. When the homeowner developer initiated the removal of the trees to repair the sidewalk and we saw the postings, the whole neighborhood got very upset. Within 24 hours, more than 30 neighbors had come together, and also more than 22 people contributed funds to commission an arborist report. And the arborist is here and will report on his findings, and he's identified alternatives to preserve the trees. In addition to the commissioning the report, we also engaged directly in conversation with the developer, Mario Romano, who is building, this is the property that he's building. And he already had to cut down more than 20 trees on the property to build the property, and so it's a significant change to the neighborhood. Anyway, we agreed with him over the weekend. We struck a compromise where he said he would like to preserve the palm trees. So now and I have a signed agreement from him to present. He said now he would like to preserve and protect the palm trees. We're all in agreement that the ficus trees should be removed. They're the ones really damaging the sidewalk. The arborist thinks the ficus trees can be removed and the palm trees can be preserved. We have some pictures here to show what a signature element of the neighborhood it is. There's a community of 5 palm trees, which is the only grouping like that in the whole neighborhood. So not just people on our street came together, but people from surrounding streets, because they're over 50 feet high. They're enjoyed by the whole neighborhood, not just on our street. And we think they're over 80 years old, that they were part of the group planted for the 1932 Olympics, and that they are really a unique scenic resource and key to the skyline there. And so the neighborhood feels very strongly that it's very important to the character to keep it. And my neighbor, Stefan, will speak. He's a landscape architect and will speak to the trees. But I just want to say that my background is I'm a photographer. I've had exhibitions at the Getty and the Annenberg Space. And here at City Hall, I had a show called Picture LA, Landmarks of a New Generation. And so a lot of my work has to do with LA, and the palm tree is uniquely iconic to Los Angeles. And especially, as our former speaker said, there are not very many.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. So I think you indicated that we're calling Stefan Hammerschmidt?
Yes.
Hi, sir.
Hi, my name is Stefan Hammerschmidt. I live basically 1 block south of the project. 11 years ago, we were lucky enough to buy a lot 1 block east of this project. And the reason actually we bought over there because there were so many trees around us. And within the last 10 years, it changed so much. And those are literally the last 5 large ones left in the neighborhood. And this photograph I took from my backyard. So because they're so large, you can see them like from so many perspectives actually approaching this area. And it would be really a shame if those trees would go. And they're very unusual also for me as a landscape architect. Normally you see 1 or 2 planted, but seeing 5 together in a group is very unusual. So it's very scenic, and again, like even on my street, most of the neighbors are concerned and would really be upset if those trees or would lose one of those trees out of the 5. And as you can see, I mean, it is very beautiful and a nice collection of 5, palm trees. And I think, they add value to the neighborhood. I mean, that's the reason we bought, because it has many street trees, and because of the construction and the development going on around this area, we're losing more and more trees like that, and it's a shame. The developers normally don't consider the aesthetic values after they flip the house. However, this particular developer agreed, and we have a signed contract, and he even texted me because I asked him if I should say something on his behalf, and he says on the phone, I can show you that, that he would rather, tie himself to the tree than losing them. That's it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Greg Monfett? What? All right. I think that means that is Michael Stenger?
You got it.
Mr. Stenger, go ahead, sir.
Hi. I think I'm the fellow that Mr. Tyson referred to as the yard with the palms in it. I live 3 doors to the west of the subject property. I've been there since 1980. Had a very special kinship with the prior owner who had as they pointed out, fantastic yard. He was especially proud of those palm trees in the parkway. And I'm just here basically, I want to speak for the neighborhood who has always viewed those as sort of our anchor. It's an aesthetic that's very helpful, very pleasing to the neighborhood. It's our way, I should say, I'll speak for myself, but sitting in my yard, looking east, seeing those palm trees, swaying gently in the breeze, it reminds me I'm not in a big city. We are not against development. We just want it to honor the neighborhood context. And, our neighborhood's undergoing rapid change. Big boxes with little vegetation, little landscaping. So we're asking you to please preserve the trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stenger. Mr. Monfett? Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Good morning, President James, commissioners, Bureau representatives, City Attorney, Executive Secretary. As you can tell, the community is very passionate. Anyway, by the way, Greg Monfett, the Tree Case Management. The community is very passionate about these trees, and actually, they're the only trees on the block. Tim actually mentioned that. The community retained Tree Case Management to try to come up with some alternative options. There's no doubt in my mind that those trees can be retained. They can simply be retained by reducing the sidewalk to 42 inches. A little bit of experience here. I mean, you guys know where I've worked, but just for the record, I've worked on over 30,000 street trees, root pruning. I've overseen the repair of over 300 miles of sidewalks. Staring back to 1999 when Reardon brought the program in. So I've got a lot of experience in the city. And actually in the city of Los Angeles, I'm one of the main root expert guys in the city on the outside. But also we've had an agreement that came in late last night with the property owner. So now he's on board. I mean, if you guys are changing policy and you can't go to 42 inches, which we've done all over the city of Los Angeles, I've done it, the Bureau's done it, the city's done it. They're going to continue to do it, quite frankly. But if the policies change, the homeowner will put the sidewalk on his side. He can do that by agreement. Engineering can confirm that. He wants to save the trees. Another thing about this set of trees, as one of the speakers presented, we believe it's a scenic resource. So I feel that it's not exempt from CEQA. And I didn't see an environmental impact report on them. And it's a scenic resource because it's a signature scenic site that people view from their backyard, hundreds and hundreds of homes. When you have 22 different residents willing to fork money out of their bank account for trees that aren't even on their property. Some of these residents, one of the speakers lives 3 blocks away. That's the picture that's in the report. That's from his backyard, 3 blocks away.
2
know,
minutes.
There's no trees on this street, like Tim mentioned, and to replace the tree with a crepe myrtles don't do well by the beach. They get sooty mold. So if you're going to do that, put something different in. But you're not going to get big trees on that block. And there's a reason why those 5 are there with 1 on each side. There's some historical significance about the planting of them. So I just urge the board to consider the community's request and preserve the 5 trees. We totally agree on the ficuses. Ficuses are extremely destructive, and they just want to try to preserve the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monfett. Mr. Tyson. So I think we've taken, come on up. I think we've taken care of the ficus. Those are coming out. So we're just talking about 2 of the palm trees, right?
Correct.
And one of them you admitted could be saved, correct?
Correct.
So now we're down to 1 palm tree, right?
Correct, but that would take the reduction of the sidewalk, and I suggest it be reduced more than what Mr. Monfett has suggested, so that there's actual room for expansion of the trees in the future, so that we don't run into a sustainability issue of the sidewalk breaking up again.
Do we have an ADA compliance requirement once the sidewalk is touched for repair?
I believe it's 4 feet. That's what they want. They don't want us to go down to 36 inches unless it's just to go down around 1 tree or something like that. In the old days, they used to do that. I don't know if that's current today. Maybe Mr. Jordan would know.
Mr. Jordan?
It's unclear to me as to this particular sidewalk. Certainly, when we do touch the infrastructure, we do have to bring it up to the current applicable codes. So we'd have to, really kind of study this one in particular to understand what the bare minimum legal requirement would be.
Colleagues, let me just tell you what my initial thought is, and then we'll go to Commissioner Penning. It sounds like, and we'll have Mr. Tyson, you're an intermediary of sense in dealing with the developer. So I would like for you to confirm, I want to put this over, because I would like for you to confirm with the developer this agreement. And if we have the agreement from the developer, I have no problem saving both of the palm trees, because that's what we're talking about here, and that's what the neighbors want, provided that we can legally do so. And that's where, whether we have a city attorney, Mr. Jordan, or someone from his office, work with you, Mr. Tyson, to confirm, work with the Bureau of Engineering to confirm that we can do that. If we can legally do it, great. If we can't legally do it, then we might have to get more creative. So, that's where my concern lies. But my thought is to put this over for a couple of weeks to give you time to confirm the agreement, which shouldn't take but a day. But the bigger issue is getting the city attorney's office to give us the opinion on whether or not we can meet the neighbor's desire to save the tree and do so legally.
The 1 palm tree that's next to the driveway apron, obviously they would have to reduce the size of the driveway. They want an 18-foot wide driveway. My suggestion would be maybe even 15 feet wide.
Sounds like he might be willing to do so, though.
I want to be safe. It's about keeping the trees safe, not damaging the base of the trees, all these different things. Things can be done, but they have to be done where everyone is in agreement and it meets the current standards. I'm all for saving trees. My job is to come in and tell you the safety precautions that you need to be aware of, the damage that the trees will undertake in order to save them. And my problem with the tree next to the driveway, if we can make it down to 15 feet, I would feel very confident in that tree being able to stay there. But it's a line of sight issue pulling out of the driveway as well, as it will be right next to the driveway apron. And when you go to pull out, something could be right there, a person on a bicycle, a person on a motorcycle that you may not see because the tree will be right here. So that would be the only other condition of the tree being very close to the driveway, not 6 feet away.
Okay. Commissioner Penning?
I just wanted to clarify, if we do keep the second palm tree or both palm trees, does that mean that we don't end up getting the replacement tree?
No, there would be no replacement tree there being able to fit in. You've got 5 trees in a place of where 1 tree could be.
Okay. The only thing I would say in support of what our president has suggested, is that, if the neighbors are really enthusiastic about trees in the neighborhood, that, we can work with you all if you're interested in identifying people that might be willing to take on watering and maintenance, to try to actually add some more trees to that block going forward.
So with the 2 rubber trees being removed, if we do decide to save the palms, they would still have to plant 4 trees. We were going to allow them to deliver, but we could look at the neighborhood and look at that. I mean, there are no trees. And I know everyone there wants to have trees, and I don't understand personally why they don't have any trees themselves.
I think it'd be great if we could find a way to put those trees in the neighborhood and have the developer pay for it.
I agree.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
I wanted to ask just a point of clarification. Palm trees don't really cause historically the same kind of problems to sidewalks that the ficus cause. Is that correct? Pretty much.
That's correct. It's the base of the tree as it expands. It pushes everything with it. They don't have roots that grow way out like this. The roots are basically right under the base of the tree. That's why you don't want to go start cutting into the sides of the tree. So you need to have a little bit of distance away from that base of that tree, and you can work around the tree.
So, but they don't cause the problems that ficus cause, basically.
No, not what ficus.
I agree that palm trees are characteristically California. And I know that perhaps some people don't feel because of the canopy that they have significant value, but I agree they do have significant value. And I'm very glad to see that the neighbors were able to, and I'm even more happier to see that the prime contractor was willing to work with the neighbors to resolve this problem. And I'm really encouraged by the fact that you have worked together to save the palm trees, and there is no fight on behalf of the contractor. I think that's really, really wonderful. I'm very proud, quite actually, to see this communication going on between constituents and prime contractors.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. So what I would order, my motion would be that we put this over for 2 weeks to July 25th, 2016. Mr. Jordan, is that enough time for your office to
Yes.
It is? Okay. Let's put this over for 2 weeks to give you time to confirm with the developer, which sounds like it's going to be, he'll confirm the agreement. We have your original documents, by the way, ma'am, if you'd like to pick those up. And then we'll have our city attorney just confirm that once the ground is touched, the sidewalks are touched, that we can meet the ADA requirements. Like I said, if we can do this legally, we're gonna support you, and hopefully we have a nice resolution here. Okay, thank you. And so is that okay with everyone? Okay, then that'll be the order. And thank you to the community and for coming to City Hall and taking the time to work on this issue. We appreciate it. Mr. Munfett, thank you, sir. Good to see you again. Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Agenda item number 5. Actually, let's move to, let me get some of these others out of the way. Number 7, recommending the board authorize the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the 2-year month-to-month renewal option and amendment number 1 to personal services contract between the City of Los Angeles and Universal Waste Systems Incorporated for continued implementation of a multifamily residential recycling program. All terms and conditions remain in effect. The total contract cost ceiling also remains unchanged at $47 million. I think this is similar to agenda item number 8, recommending the board authorize, this is number 8, recommending the board authorize the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the 2-year month-to-month renewal option and amendment number 1 to the personal services contract between the City of Los Angeles and NASA Services Incorporated for continued implementation of a multifamily residential recycling program. All terms and conditions remain in effect. The total contract cost ceiling for this one remains unchanged at $50 million. Michelle Mikesell.
Good morning, President James, Board Commissioners, the Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. My name is Michelle Mikesell, and I'm the Program Manager for LA Sanitation's Multifamily Residential Recycling Program. We're requesting that the board authorize LA Sanitation to execute the 2-year month-to-month renewal options in amendment number 1 for both Universal Services C11836, agenda item number 7, and NASA Services, Inc., C111835, agenda item number 8. Amendment number 1 of the contract for both contracts was authorized by the Mayor's Office and City Council and executed by the Board on August 6th, 2014. The multifamily residential recycling program transitioned from a pilot program to a permanent citywide program in July 2007. It currently services approximately 420,000 units in over 17,000 properties. To date, the multifamily program has diverted over 132,000 tons from landfills, and the program is very much like the city's LA Resources recycling program in that the single-family program where it services 96-gallon blue bins, all the same materials. Universal is currently providing recycling services to approximately 6,000 properties with 160,000 units in the East Valley and West Valley watersheds, and NASA is currently providing recycling services to approximately 9,200 properties with 230,000 units in West Los Angeles and North Hollywood. The LA Sanitation plans to transition this program to the new Zero Waste LA commercial and multifamily franchise hauling program, the franchise program. And the contracted franchisees will take over servicing the multifamily recycling bins, which will remain, and the contract extensions will take us through the beginning of the franchise in 2017. The approval to exercise both 2-year month-to-month renewal options will enable sanitation to continue to offer an essential service for the residents living in West Los Angeles, the North Central, the West Valley, and East Valley watersheds. Any questions?
Any questions for Michelle? I don't have any questions. I recognize we're just keeping these going until the franchise comes through, so I completely understood. Is there a motion on agenda items 7 and 8 by Commissioner Penning? I'll second it. Any objections on 7 or 8? Without objections, we'll adopt 7 and 8. Any issues sending it forthwith, both of them? We'll send 7 and 8 forthwith. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let's go back now to agenda item number 5. Since we have Mr. Tyson here, I wanted to give Mr. Tyson a few minutes to chat with the residents on agenda item number 4, so I didn't want to call 5 yet, so now I'll call 5. Tree removal, Council District 4, 5235 Kester Avenue, recommending that the board, 1, find that the tree removals are classified as operation, repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing street, sidewalk, and gutter involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that previously existing and do not involve the removal of a scenic resource. 2, find that the action is exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, Category 3, existing facilities minor alteration of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act guidelines from 2002. 3, find that none of the exceptions to the use of the categorical exemption as set forth in Section 15300.2 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines apply. 4, specify that the Urban Forestry Division of the Bureau of Street Services is the custodian of the documents or other material which constitute the record of the proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 5, review and approve the request for a fee permit to remove 7 American sweet gum trees for the Bureau of Engineering required street widening and curb, gutter, and sidewalk reconstruction for track number 61395 located at 5235 Kester Avenue. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson on number 5.
The Bureau was contacted by the developer who proposes to build a new 71-unit condominium conversion project at the subject site. The property owner's representative applied to the Bureau of Engineering for a construction Class B permit to widen the street at 5235 Custer Avenue, which is in between Magnolia and Weddington Street. The Bureau informed Mr. Goldberg the required street widening may necessitate street tree removals. Therefore, he contacted the Bureau and my division, Urban Forestry. A Bureau of Street Services arborist inspected the subject location on March 14th. The inspection revealed 7 American sweet gum trees that are in fair condition and growing anywhere from 30 to 50 feet in height and a 5-foot wide improved parkway. Bureau condition of approval S31 or I1, transmittal 7 requires the construction of a concrete curb, gutter, and a 5-foot concrete sidewalk adjacent to the property line and landscaping in the parkway. Bureau condition of approval S3I2 requires the developer to widen Kester Avenue from 27 feet and a half to 35 feet and a half roadway dedication. The planned street widening and the public sidewalk improvements will severely impact the 7 street trees as they are located in or directly adjacent to the required widening of the street. The CEQA was all looked at, and the cumulative impacts are recorded in the report. According to the Urban Forestry Division, 1 permit for the removal of the 3 street trees at 5202 Lamone Avenue was approved by the Board of Public Works on April 15, 2016. This is the only tree removal permit issued within the last 6 months and within 1 block radius of the project site. In addition, a review of the Department of Public Works permits on Navigate LA indicates that 1 construction Class A permit was issued in the last 6 months within a 1 block radius of the project site. Cumulative impacts are not anticipated with the proposed street tree removals, and replacement plantings will be replaced at a 2-to-1 ratio, with the replacement trees being planted along the right-of-way in front of the subject site. Tree placement condition: the applicant shall plant 7 24-inch box size Brisbane box Tristania conferta trees on site and plant the remaining 7 24-inch box size Brisbane box trees at 17645 Bromley Street, 17652 Collins, 17655 Collins, 17701 Collins, 17647 Rhoda Street, 5900 White Oak, and 5924 White Oak to satisfy the 2-to-1 replacement policy. The trees do require removal in order for the street to be widened. The impacts are less than significant under CEQA, and all trees are being replaced within the neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Commissioner Repenning?
I just want to thank you, Tim, for your work in finding the creative approach to getting the other 7 in the ground. Very excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Any questions on agenda item number 5? I don't have any questions. I'd like a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5. It's seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt number 5. Any issues sending it forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Let's see where we are. I think we have just a few items left. Number 9. Mr. Smith, this is your show now. Number 9, recommending the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving the request of Skanska, Stacy, and Whitbeck, a joint venture for a subcontractor substitution of APW Construction Incorporated doing business as Ace Fence Company with AZ Construction Incorporated doing business as Ace Fence Company for fencing work in connection with the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project Package 2 Viaduct Demolition. Mr. Smith.
Yes, Chris Smith, Bureau Contract Administration, General Services Division. The Bureau received a request from SCANSA on April 27, 2016 to substitute APW Construction DBA Ace Fence Company with AZ Construction DBA Fence Company, both DBE. In this particular case, this is the same company. The only difference is they are not doing business under the APW name or license anymore. The bid listed amount of the work is $35,000, and because it's the same company, the work will be completed for the same amount, so there'll be no additional cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with Commissioner Davis's recommendation to approve the substitution.
Any questions? Is there a second to Commissioner Davis's motion? second by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 9 forthwith. Number 10, recommending the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving the request of Skanska Stacy Whitbeck and a joint venture for subcontractor substitution of TNT Trucking Group with G.O. Rodriguez Trucking Incorporated for trucking work in connection with the building demo and utility relocation, site fencing, and Bureau of Street Services yard relocation for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. This is Package B. Mr. Smith.
Yes. Bureau again received a request from Skanska on May 10, 2016 to substitute TNT Trucking, their bid listed DBE subcontractor, with G.O. Rodriguez Trucking, another DBE subcontractor. Their request included a letter from TNT Trucking withdrawing from the contract. The bid listed amount for TNT's portion of the trucking work is $20,000. G.O. will complete that work for the same amount, so there'll be no additional cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with Commissioner Davis's recommendation to approve this substitution.
Any questions on number 10? Is there a second to Commissioner Davis's motion by Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 10. Agenda item, any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Number 11, recommending the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving the request of Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated for a subcontractor substitution of DC Directional Drilling Incorporated with K&B Directional Boring Incorporated for directional boring work in connection with the Intersection Improvement Unit 15 street lighting project. Mr. Smith.
The Bureau received a request from Belco on May 25, 2016 to substitute DC Directional Drilling, Inc., the OBE listed subcontractor for directional boring work on the contract, with KMB Directional Boring, another OBE subcontractor. Their request was accompanied by a letter from DC Directional Drilling indicating they were withdrawing from the work. The bid listed amount of DC's portion of the work is $15,000. KMB will complete DC's portion for the same amount. Therefore, there will be no additional cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with Commissioner Davis's recommendation to approve this substitution.
Any questions? Is there a second? Commissioner Jacinto seconds Commissioner Davis's motion. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Any issues sending it forthwith? We'll send number 11 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Number 12, Council District 14, Bureau of Engineering recommending the board authorize the city engineer to sign the revised project oversight agreement along with any future revisions in connection with the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. John Koo.
Good morning, John Koo with the Bureau of Engineering, 6th Street Viaduct Division. This motion seeks City Engineer Authority to sign a revised project oversight agreement for the 6th Street Viaduct project. In general, the project oversight agreement is a three-party agreement between City, Caltrans, and Federal Highways that covers programming, financial management, design, right-of-way, bid and award, and construction for a federally funded project. Due to the change in the roadway classification of 6th Street to a non-NHS National Highway System, the Federal Highway Administration is initiating this change for a revised oversight agreement that essentially delegates more of their oversight role to Caltrans. So this summarizes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the motion? Commissioner Davis has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 12, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Any issue sending the item forthwith? We'll send number 12 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 19, oral report, the quarterly status report on the sidewalk repair program from the Bureau of Engineering, Mr. Nelson.
I'm not Mr. Nelson, I'm Steve Chen. I'm
Mr.
for
Chen.
the program today. Oh, sorry. Steve Chen with the Bureau of Engineering, Street and Stormwater Division, here to give the quarterly report for the sidewalk repair program. Just a quick background. Since the inception of the program, We've completed work at about 210 sites. Most of those locations were adjacent, sidewalks adjacent to city facilities. But we've also more recently started work again to sites adjacent to requests received from a Department on Disability. In this mayor's budget for this fiscal year, the sidewalk repair program was given an allocation of $31 million. Included in that budget is funds for an access request program to address the response to the Willits lawsuit. We also have funds for a curb ramp repair program, a sidewalk cost sharing rebate program, which is an incentive program, and also support for technology to help manage the program. Included in the budget also is funding for staff. We received funding for 48 positions spread amongst the board office, Office of Accounting, the Bureaus of Engineering, Contract Administration, and Street Services. Most of the positions were with BSS because they'll be performing the work, some of that work. I'd also like to report that 2 weeks ago, on Monday, the 27th, June 27th, at the Public Works and Gang Reduction Committee, BOE and the CEO reported on the proposed sidewalk repair rebate program, cost-sharing rebate program, which is to incentivize property owners to repair their work during the first 3 years of the program. The report proposed a cap for each parcel of $2,000 for a lot, sidewalk adjacent to a residential lot, and $4,000 for commercial lots. It also proposes that if in cases where a tree needs to be removed, that the cost to replace and maintain that tree would be, for the first tree would be the responsibility of the applicant, but for the second tree, the city would be responsible for that cost. And that's in conformance of the 2-to-1 tree replacement policy. Let's see. The report also recommended that the board implement the cost-sharing rebate program and also designate a designee to implement the program. And we will be bringing this item to the board shortly after it gets approved by council. We expect in the next month, in August, when council resumes. So at this time, the city attorney has also published a draft ordinance to codify the program. And this includes transferring the responsibility of the sidewalk program and the maintenance to the property owners in a fix and release program. It also proposes a warranty period for once the sidewalk has been repaired, and the amount is 20 years for residential sidewalks and 5 years for commercial sidewalks. And we also expect that this ordinance will be before council at the same time, along with the Senate program, next month when council resumes session. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I just want to know a little bit about the operation of how we go about in identifying those sidewalk repairs that we're implementing. Is there a formula? Are there some variables that you look at in terms of how you begin the work?
Yeah, so they basically come from various sources. The requests come from various sources. Some of them I mentioned are from the Department on Disability. So we have a list of locations that we've received that we need to address from them. We also have locations that we have been reported from the council office, and so we also have an allocation for funding that we can address from those as well. Obviously, we have a very limited budget, so we can only address certain locations, and we try to address the worst locations that we can at first, and then the most.
So the disability concerns are priority, and then the council office secondly has input on a few items that you consider?
Well, I wouldn't really categorize that. I would say that we have different amounts of funding that we have been provided through the budget. Per the Willits settlement, we have $6.2 million for access requests, which are basically requests from the disabled community. And we've been allocated $5 million for curb ramp repair, and then another $6 million for the incentive program. So we are kind of living within those. Generally speaking, we're trying to live with those allocations in each for the budget.
So the Bureau of Engineering, along, I guess, with contract administration, is working on the details of how we implement what we have thus far.
Right.
In terms of the budget, are we budgeted for a certain interval of funding thus far? And how does the budget play out to your knowledge in terms of on an annual basis,
Yeah.
or a quarterly basis, or?
So per the settlement, we're supposed to allocate $31 million annually. There's a cost inflation factor over the next 30 years. I think it goes to like double that in 30 years. So I think the total over 30 years is about $1.4 billion. But this first 5 years, it's an annual allocation of $31 million per year.
In terms of the opportunities for smaller businesses and emerging businesses doing a portion of that, has there been any conclusion in terms of how we implement that involvement?
Yes, we are allocating funds for that as well. We have a small contractors list that we've established, and we're reaching out to those contractors which have transitional workers, and we're allocating funds for opportunities for those contractors as well.
Have those contractors yet begun to do work on sidewalk repair?
We have not started yet, but this fiscal year we are planning to start that.
Is there a goal in terms of implementation for small and emerging businesses?
There's a certain dollar figure that we have. I believe it was, I want to say $1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah.
And do you anticipate a certain time that they would begin to do the work?
During this fiscal year, I can't say exactly when they would start, but through this fiscal year, we would expect to spend all that this year.
Through this fiscal year?
Yeah.
So that's up until what time?
July or June of next year.
Up until July of next year.
Right.
In terms of those jobs that are being done now, that would be which bureaus? It's engineering that's doing it now. Is that correct?
Excuse me, doing
any repair that's being done on sidewalks as a result of the Willis case, of those projects that are being implemented now. I know some council areas have realized some work to be done.
Right.
And the work that is in fact being done obviously is engineering and street services,
right,
and contract ad working collectively together to make sure that that happens.
That is correct.
From
yes.
the cities. From the cities.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited about the opportunity not only for us in the city to do it, and I know the council offices and obviously the mayor's office who's provided leadership on this is, but I think that what really is a great opportunity is equally for the small and emerging businesses to have an opportunity to be included in this.
Right.
And I think that when we look at our potential to include historically underrepresented communities in the city around contracting, that cement work and sidewalk work in particular presents us a great opportunity to do some great work in terms of including historically underrepresented communities in contracting. So I'm excited not only for what we're doing with the public works bureaus, but I'm excited about the potential of what we can do. I think that Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, can be a role model for the rest of the state if we do this sidewalk repair program to our fullest potential.
Yes, it's very exciting times. It's very good to have a budget that we can use to make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Arcento?
Thank you, President James. Steve, thanks for the report. I join Commissioner Davis in the excitement after many years. The Willett settlement is upon us. This is year one, and we're at a Commissioner Repenning had mentioned the other day at a Mulholland moment in terms of taking care of our urban infrastructure and access related over the next generation, pumping in $1 billion plus into the streets. That will affect not only accessibility, but the urban canopy, and has so much impact on our urban infrastructure. That is a great time, and it took a tremendous amount of coordination and collaboration, leadership from the mayor's office to the different bureaus to come up with a program, a fix and release program, an incentive program, an ordinance, and all that incredible work really is in front of us. And so together with not only the opportunities, but just the way that we will steward our streets and make them more accessible in the next generation is truly, I think, recalibrating for our city. So I look forward to. I'm glad to have been around for this moment, and look forward to our continued work with the Bureau in implementing and managing this program. So Steve, thank you for the report.
Thank you, Commissioner Cento. Commissioner Penning?
The one thing I would just want to add, because I think this program is so impactful, and it is the type of work that we know that LA residents want to see from our city in terms of maintenance of our basic infrastructure. Just making sure that I see Elena in the back, that we are finding ways to promote and publicize this project and all of the different,
She didn't hear you. Okay.
all of the different pieces that we're fixing, and finding ways to share with that neighborhood that, this is what we're doing, this is why, and, you're welcome.
Yes, yes.
Seems important to me.
Yeah, we are working very closely with the PAO to advertise and just inform, educate the constituents of what the program is, what the incentive program is, and the opportunities they have. So it's it's definitely a big part of the program to get that information out there.
Anything else? Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the oral report. Thanks. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes of the meeting of June 15th, 2016? Commissioner Penning, any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned with the exception of the Bureau Heads meeting taking place in the conference room.